Hello and welcome to the Viewpoint Ministries Let's Talk About Jesus podcast. I'm your host, Tennille Gregory. Today we have on the program our guest speaker, Ms. Timmy Ogunlesi, and she just finished a wonderful presentation full length on Let's Talk About Jesus live program, navigating the ethical leadership and influence as young professionals. I encourage everybody to go over there and listen to that. She gave some wonderful tips, and we had a great, powerful discussion about the influence that young people can have as Christians in the work field. But right now, we're going to transition over to our podcast topic, which is developing Christ-like leadership skills. And I'm going to turn it over to Miss Timmy.
Alrighty. So first things first, thank you guys for having me once again. So what we'll be discussing is the qualities of Christ-like leadership, such as humility, compassion, and servant leadership. And I'll just be going through some ways that as young professionals, of course, we can emulate those traits in our careers through different avenues such as mentorship, community involvement, and just how we operate daily as Christians and through our faith. Alrighty, so the first thing that I am going to hit on is humility. So one thing is, I would say, leading humbly. Jesus, we always talk about how humble Jesus was as a leader, and that's something that as believers, I believe that we should emulate and be able to prioritize. And also, while leading with humility, that's also a thing of also prioritizing others in our community. So one way that we can do this is by acknowledging others' contributions and give credit when it's due. As a young professional, it's important to be able to look left and look right and see what contributions other people are making and be humble about it. If you're not the one that did it, that is perfectly fine, but always make sure that you give props. Stay teachable, always remain able to learn, be receptive to correction, and be receptive to growth. Because the only way that as a leader you can improve is to be able to be open to these things and be open to receiving. And making sure that you lead by example. So as people are following you, you always need to make sure that you are leading them in the proper direction, not just saying, do as I say, but also leading by saying, do as I do. Seek mentorship and be open to learning from your peers and your superiors. Nobody is too small for you to learn from. And as you learn, make sure that you're able to also offer these to other people. The next thing is compassion. As a leader, it's important for you to always remain compassionate with your coworkers and those who are above you and those who might be subordinate to you. Listen actively and show empathy towards your colleagues and their challenges where people might be lacking. You never know what somebody is going through. So being able to have that bit of compassion for people will take you a very long way, because it also helps with effective communication. And as people come to you, make sure that you're emulating compassion and encourage those others and uplift people. So as you go, the people following behind you also can follow along with you. And balance grace and be able to be accountable for your actions and things of that nature. As a leader, just being compassionate will take you a very, very long way and strengthen your relationship, and also how your team views you and how they feel like they can build with you. It's always good to feel like you can rely on your leader, and the only way for you to feel like that is for them to actually be receptive and open to being able to hear you. Next thing is a servant leadership. Prioritize other people's growth as much as you almost prioritize your own. One thing I talked about on the show was making sure that you're able to mentor others and be able to be mentored by somebody else and invest into other people, because at the end of the day, where you are, somebody might want to be, and where that person may be at the time is exactly where you might have been. Sometimes it's always good to remember that somebody was you at a point, and how would you have wanted to be treated when you were in that same position. So as you look at that, make sure that you're always able to mentor others and bring people up with you. It helps with not only yourself, but it helps those people because it helps you with problem solving, being able to build up different skills, and also your confidence in yourself as a mentor and as a leader. And sometimes put people over the profit of things or the end goal of things. It doesn't mean that you guys don't both have the same goal at the end of the day that you guys want to reach, but sometimes it's important that as a as a person with a servant, having servant leadership, that you don't always put an end goal, so you don't care almost like about what that person is going through. So it almost like ties back into the compassion aspect of it. You know when somebody genuinely cares versus when somebody just wants you to get it over with, get your emotions out so that we can get to this goal. Where sometimes it's like you actually need to open your ears and be able to listen and have a servant leadership where you're also serving people as much as you want them to help you. It's a two-way relationship, not just a one-way. So I hope that everybody is able to learn from these things. And if at any point anybody has any questions, you should be able to find me, Tammy Ogunlesi, on LinkedIn or social medias, and I should be able to help you through the way. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being our guest on today's podcast. Thank you to everybody tuning in for this episode of Let's Talk About Jesus podcast. We've been talking about developing Christ-like leadership skills. We hope that today's discussion has encouraged you to develop your Christ-like skills and be true leaders in the workplace. Remember, the journey to true leadership starts with using Christ as an example. And so we just encourage everybody to continue to tune into the program and to continue to lead with love, as our guest speaker talked about, with grace, and to try to be like Jesus. So thank you, and make sure that you tune into our program. It's available for streaming on Fridays after 9 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.